Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Meet the hijab-wearing mother with a black belt in kickboxing, teaching Muslim women self-defense. Yes, you may know her as Khadijah Safari. However, she was not brought up as a Muslim, and she had a negative view of religion growing up.
I thought religion was the cause of war.
Yeah.
I thought that anyone that followed a religion was weak. They couldn't make their own decisions.
Yeah.
I thought that Muslim women were oppressed, that men controlled them. I was very much, whatever stereotypical information was given to me, I went with it.
As a student in London, she found herself more drawn by health, fitness, and martial arts than alcohol and partying. Let's watch her amazing journey to Islam. So, Khadijah Safari moved to London when she was 19, seeking to expand her knowledge and learn a few life skills. She says, I felt pretty brain dead in terms of life skills, and I felt like I just needed to meet more people with more variety. So I decided to study at a university. As a child, Khadijah had always been curious. She was the child that got told to not ask stupid questions. She would wonder how everyone is born with the same emotions and why tears form in the back of the eyes. Referencing the evolutionary notion of survival of the fittest, Safari says, if we assume that the strongest one continue and the weak one dies, and then we believe that humans evolved from monkeys, so why do monkeys still exist? It never made sense to me. Khadijah started to believe that there was a certain force that controls everything, from what is meant to be, and everything happens for a reason, to the universe being infinite, and that religion can be scientific. Being born and raised in a Christian family, she read the Bible, but the concept of God and Jesus confused her. To her, God was described as a human, and she always assumed he would be some guy in the sky sitting in a chair with 100 angels around him. She reasons that now, if we assume it is true, logic dictates gravity will make him fall out of the sky. I literally thought Christianity was a whole load of old-fashioned stories. It also led me to believe that either you are scientific or you can be religious, but you can't be both. Khadijah mentions her family believed in a lot of misconceptions regarding Islam, and she thought that Muslim women were oppressed, that men controlled them and the likes. Whatever stereotypical information was given to her, she went for it. Now, arriving at her university, she started to socialize and made 3 good friends. They would go out together, study together, and for 3 years stuck together. After graduation, Khadijah called up each of her good friends to meet for coffee, when one of them said they were fasting for Ramadan, and the other declined the offer as she was in Saudi Arabia studying about the Quran. Khadijah was shocked. For 3 years, she had no idea they were actually Muslim. She says, if a Muslim isn't wearing hijab, there really is no way for someone to actually know they are Muslim. Yes, if we went out for drinks, they didn't drink, but one of them did. They weren't what one would call practical Muslims. So I never really connected the dots. At this point in time, Khadijah started working as a marketing manager at a chain of beauty salons, and turns out at least 80% of them were Muslim. The owner had Khadijah learn to recite Bismillah for every first server that comes in, and she would hear the words MashaAllah and Inshallah, often so much so that she started using them in conversations too. When she took up Muay Thai, Khadijah also started a graphic designing business. Her trainer at the time wanted a website designed, and one day she called him up for photos and he wouldn't answer. Sneaking into the fire exit, she found him with his knees and forehead on the ground, praying. Khadijah could not believe it. At this particular point, I decided to go on a journey to really understand this religion.
I decided to go on a journey to really understand the religion. Now, at this particular point, I didn't just study Islam. I studied partly about Judaism, not too much, some about Hinduism, also about Christianity, and also about Buddhism, and at the same time Islam. Now, I touched the surface with all of them because really to study a religion properly would take you years. But I'd also had a lot of experience in life which had caused conflicts and problems in relationships for me, whether it be something to do with drugs, alcohol, gambling. There were many things which the more I read about Islam, the more I realised it would have been a solution to all of those problems, and those problems would never have happened in the first place.
She researched about Judaism, read scriptures on Hinduism, Buddhism, and touched the surface of Islam. As she read more about Islam, she would find answers to most of her questions, from planets and universe to humans and animals. In fact, she was facing a few relationship conflicts and says that if we had followed what Islam suggests, the problems wouldn't have existed in the first place. Khadijah mentions, the pivotal point was reading about Allah. Islam said Allah is not a person. It was really a big thing for me. On one hand, I had thought God was a man. On the other, I assumed there was a force in the universe. I replaced that concept of my belief in God to be the force instead, and it all made sense to me.
In the English language, you can't say, like, it's rude to say the for something as big as God, right? But so they say he out of politeness, but God is not a he or she.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, no, God's not a person. Like, it's the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me just replace that concept of my belief of God to be force instead.
Yeah.
And I had actually been trying to read different scriptures, and I had, every time it said God, I was like, no, not for me.
Yeah.
No, not for me.
Yeah.
It's a he. No, not for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I'm going to try and reread it. And like, every time it says God and it says he, I'm going to take that out, and in my mind, I'm going to put force.
Yeah.
And now it all made sense. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. It was just I completely misunderstood everything from the beginning.
Subhanallah, Khadijah soon converted to Islam and later married her trainer Karim, a former world champion cage fighter. The couple had 4 kids together and teach segregated Muay Thai classes at their own academy, Safari MMA in London. May Allah bless Khadijah and her husband with the best in this world and the hereafter. Ameen. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe and support us on Patreon. The link is in the description below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.